Honey, do you remember we had a pack webinar recently, and we had, I think we've talked about this, you and I were on Jim's podcast, and we had 853 people registered for a webinar to talk about where do I start.
Yep.
See the slides okay?
Yep.
Cool. And so we're kind of doing the same, not the same thing by any means. This is going to be more Q4 focused, but if you're new here, this is totally going to be helpful because we're going to cover things that are not necessarily only Q4. You'll soon find out that most of the top sellers like Honey, they don't have a whole separate Q4 strategy. It's just doing the same foundational things every single day, and you just end up selling more in Q4. So if you're all stressed out, like, oh my gosh, what do I need to do for Q4? I feel like I'm late. Guys, you are not. Relax. It's all good. Even if you are just starting today, you still have plenty of time to take advantage of this Q4. And we're going to show you why. Because it's not about, the deals or the clearance stuff. Certainly those are some things that are fun. But guys, most sellers aren't chasing those things. They are not. Most high-level sellers here in this group, they're not running around looking for clearance. And Honey doesn't have time to do that. So
no, I choose to pretty much, I'm not saying never, but it's not a focus at all right now.
Right.
Nope.
Yep. So this is, we're also got a pack webinar coming up Thursday. We have a ton of questions for that as well. So if you have the Proven Amazon course, be looking for a webinar that we're doing Thursday afternoon, right?
Yep.
And we're going to cover more of it's kind of just a Q&A panel. Honey will be on there with me and Jenny. But let's dig into tonight. So guys, where do I start? I know if you're brand new, it can be overwhelming. You can feel like, holy cow, I just got started here. It feels like there's so much information here, and there is. But we're trying to break it down for you, make it easy, help you relax a little bit so you don't feel like you're just so overwhelmed jumping into this new business. And if you're, Neil, I see Neil's on here. Mark Crawford, Mark's sold online for a long time. If it's the same Mark Crawford that I'm thinking of, hopefully you'll learn something here today too, but this is definitely more newbie focused, more for the newer seller to help them figure out what Q4 is like and what they can be doing now to prepare for it. So Q4, what's the big deal? Honey, what is the big deal about Q4?
All right. So I have to share this for those of you that don't know me or haven't heard me talk about any of this before. When I first started jumping in and selling on Amazon, I thought, what better time? I completely oblivious and was not an entrepreneur even, really. That was not my mindset. But we thought, everybody shops at Christmas time, right? So we just kind of assumed this is a really good time to start selling on Amazon. And so our first sourcing that we ever did was on Cyber Monday. Like that was the first thing we ever even bought.
Oh,
and
wow.
our first shipment, we're thinking, we could totally just send this in. And it was totally guessing, cut and paste, just kind of searching what in the world. This looks like a good thing. I'll send this in. We're very ill prepared. And I was also doing this with I had twins that were about 3 or 4 months old. So what we want to do here is help prepare you better so you are not so ill prepared as I was for that first one. I know you're thinking it's July, this is crazy. It's not even close to the end of the year, but just thinking about this stuff now is going to help you be better prepared. And so that's what we're doing here. Because I don't recommend just jumping in and sending your first shipment in December. Don't do that.
Right.
So, Q4, guys, if you have been in any kind of e-commerce, online circles, whatever, you're going to know this is the end of the year. This is when sales are big. If you've ever shopped a Black Friday sale yourself, just as a consumer, the end of the year, that's when everybody is shopping. And so I was looking back through my numbers recently, and I'm looking back at my Q4 numbers and the months of Q4. Now this is going to vary depending on exactly what you do and how much you take action, but the months of Q4 are between 2 and 3 times what a normal month for me is the rest of the year.
2 to 3 times. Wow.
Yeah. So, it kind of varies. So if it kind of scales up, but as you're getting closer and closer to the actual where people just really are like, I have to buy my stuff right now. There was some of that stuff that was 3 times the normal month for me. So, yeah. And the last couple years have basically just been replens. We're going to talk about that. If you're in this community, you're going to hear that, but that's the majority of it. I am not running around looking for what is the most popular thing that everybody's buying, and I got to be the one to sell that. I'm not running around doing that. Q4 is not stressful for me. Yes, it's busy, because I want to make sure that I'm taking advantage of this big shopping season. This is when people are wanting to buy. And so I want to do the best I can to be able to provide what people are looking for. So yeah, Q4 is just huge. It has the potential. Ryan, we were talking earlier and you were talking about how there's some people that just say, you know what, I'm only going to sell in Q4 and the rest of the year I'm just going to take off or do other things or whatever, because they can, you can make even more than what I'm talking about. You can make huge amounts because that's where everybody goes. They're shopping. That's the time of year where you're buying, you know, gifts, normal stuff. That's just when people are just shopping. You're in a shopping mood.
Absolutely. Yeah. You said it right. And guys, I know some of you love the whole shopping thing. You love looking for clearance deals. And if that's what you're going to do this Q4, that's awesome. There's totally awesome deals coming and you can do that. But don't think that all these folks that are higher level sellers like Honey, for example, that's what they're doing in Q4. So there's not a right or wrong here. It could be either or. You could be like, say, hey, I can't wait for Black Friday and all that to come and get up early and go do that. That's cool if that's you. But most folks that I know aren't doing that. That's just not they've done that before, kind of tired of that. They're not chasing clearance. However, if that sounds fun to you, go for it. We're going to show you how you can do that too. That's just not something that you build a stable business on all year round. And so the things we teach here are more about strategies that you can use January through December, not just October, November, and December. So if you're wondering like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm going to be missing out. If you're not the type of person that loves running around like crazy, going out all those clearance sales, then you're okay. You're going to be able to still have an amazing Q4 because just so much more sells even during that time. So that's the big deal. And Honey's right. There are people that will work just during those 3 months, kind of take the rest of the year off and do well at this. And it just depends on what you're trying to do. That's what I love about this business is that you'll find people who are doing this every day, and they have a huge business. You have folks that like to do this as a side income. And guys, we have everybody, all levels in between here in this group, and just follow what we teach and you'll be able to hit your goals, whether that's to have a big business like Jimmy Smith that you're selling a couple $100,000 a month, or you just want to make a few $100s extra a month. All that is totally fine. It's whatever you want to do. You can implement these same strategies to hit whatever goals you have. All right, Honey. So we see all these deals out there starting to, somebody posted, let's see, it was, Melissa said that they're already putting Christmas stuff out in the stores. Should Melissa go out and just start buying all of the Christmas stuff that she sees, start buying all the deals? Or maybe you think, okay, last year I heard that the Monopoly games were really hot. Should I just go clear the shelves and kind of hope that they're going to be hot again?
Okay, so I'm going to give you I can't give you a yes or no specifically on all that, because what I would say is not necessarily. So I'll give you like a half an answer there. No, do not just go out and feel like I have to start buying everything now and saving it and sitting in a storage room and buying a warehouse for all my stuff and holding it till Christmas. Don't do that. But if you see Christmas stuff, you know, you'd be surprised. Christmas stuff actually sells year round. Yeah. So what I would recommend on a lot of those things, check Keepa. Look, did it sell last July, August, September? Maybe you do get that stuff, but then you send it in. What I don't recommend for people right now to do is start stockpiling, buying everything you can. Like you said, looking for, this is the most popular, you know, Monopoly game or whatever, and buying all of that up, because every year is different. Every season is different. Right. Amazon rules change all the time. So, around here, we talk about the inch deep, mile wide philosophy. You know, don't go crazy buying a ton right now. It's still a little early for that. Now, if you are doing wholesale or private label, if you are more confident in your numbers and other things, then yeah, there are some of those things you're going to need to be a little more prepared for in ordering, placing orders for things. But if you're just doing the arbitrage stuff, don't stress yourself out about buying all of the product immediately and stockpiling it. Now, I do want to say this, if you are doing all the prep yourself, start looking at getting a little extra prep supplies before they run out, before the pricing goes up on those. So if you know you need extra poly bags or labels or whatever, you may want to start getting a little bit of that at this point, just so the closer it gets, you aren't running out of all of that stuff, or the price hasn't gone way up, because it does have a tendency to do that the closer you get to the holiday season. So
absolutely. Other things, tips might be like, think about, you know, are you going to need help as far as, you know, an employee or a neighbor friend to come over and help you prep. And so even if you're just getting started now, you know, start thinking about, okay, am I going to be able to handle all the prep and ship? You might have to do some merchant fulfilled, or you might want to do some merchant fulfilled. I mean, so for some of you that maybe just joined this community and you're like, what in the heck is he talking about? So basically there's a couple options. Amazon has, you can send items to them. That's fulfillment by Amazon, FBA. And they will store it. And when a customer goes and buys it, they will pull it off the shelf, put it in a box and send it to your customer. That's what most people love about Amazon, is the FBA program. That's, you know, different than the old eBay model where you'd have to prep and ship things yourself. But in Q4, if you choose to, if you want to, some sellers, for example, like Kate Chaddock, for example, in our Legends group, one of Honey and I's good friends, does a lot of merchant fulfilled. She just knows that she's missing out on sales if she totally relies on Amazon. And so there is an opportunity there if you have the manpower, want to do that type, where as an order comes in, you can actually fulfill it yourself as well, and just take advantage of some of those sales. We have people in Q4, going back to the slide about what's the big deal about Q4, many times folks will be out shopping, doing retail arbitrage. They will be on the Amazon seller app. They will find a good deal. They will list it right then and there on their Amazon seller account. And before they even leave the store, they will have somebody that has purchased that item.
yes,
That is not possible with FBA. So that's only possible if you have a merchant fulfilled listing. And you could, so, oh, I sold it. Let's go out and buy, let's go buy another one, or let's buy 2 more and list them right away. So that happens in Q4 often.
Yes.
So, but this is not, for those of you just starting this community, just getting in here, this is not speculation. This is not, we're going to show you tools that you will use, one tool in particular, to make awesome buying decisions. You're not going to be thinking, oh, you know what? I think this Mr. Potato Head toy is going to be really hot this year. Let's buy 100 and this, really hope I can get my money out of it. That's like playing the lottery. This is not what we teach here. Honey said this is inch deep, mile wide stuff, where we are literally like, hey, we see a good deal. Let's buy a couple. Let's test it. If it sells, then we'll go back and buy 4 more, 5 more, whatever your comfort level is. But at no point are you like, I better go ask my wife, I better go ask my husband if I can dump 20 grand into this one toy, and let's hope that it sells this Q4. If it doesn't, then I'm in big trouble. That's not what we do. So
no, please don't do that. Please don't.
So should I start buying up everything now? For most part, no. Okay. All right, we are in the end of July, and so we have people that are wondering, gosh, I just bought the Proven Amazon course, or I just got my Amazon account set up. It's probably too late for me this year to take advantage of it. What do you say about that?
Nope, absolutely not. Even my horrible experience of starting in December, I still was able to sell a little bit. So, no, it's not too late at all. This is the perfect time to start. This is time that you can start and not be overwhelmed and stressed about it, because you can actually stop and think and plan, and you can be better prepared for when it does get really even more busy than it already is right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you're absolutely, the answer is right, that you're not too late. You can jump in anytime. And now is the perfect time to learn how to do this. You still have plenty of time to get a foundation in place and take advantage of Q4. So we're going to talk about some of that right now. What do you do? So if you're not out doing clearance, if Q4 is not about hunting clearance deals, which it can be. Again, some of you that have been doing this for a while, I see people on here like Patricia Smith. You've been doing this for a while. Carol's been doing this for a while. Some of you are probably used to where you're going to go out and hunt clearance items and maybe shop Black Friday, and that's fun. But you get to a point where like, you know what, I don't want to do that anymore. Or maybe you can't, that's not even possible for you. Maybe you work a full-time job and you thought, how in the world am I going to take advantage of Q4 if I have to be up at 4:30 in the morning and shopping and doing all that? It doesn't have to be that way at all. Again, if that sounds fun, that sounds exciting, you want to travel all over your tri-state area and shop, you can do that for Q4. You can do that anytime. Honestly, we have people that in this community that will rent RVs and do retail arbitrage trips and travel around the country and finding, they write the whole thing off and they go from, Indiana where Honey lives and drive down to Florida and write the whole trip off because you're shopping on the way there and on the way back. However, I know that some of you, that's not even close to the ideal business that you want to have. You want something more stable. You want something that just you can do year round, that you're not looking for clearance all the time. And it's just something more, it's sustainable. You can continue to you can do it all year round and you're not relying on Q4. So let's talk about what that is. But first, some of you might have seen this before. This is the inventory pyramid or the pyramid of inventory sourcing. So if you're just starting online, you're starting in this group and you're trying to figure out where do I start? What type of inventory is best for me? What do other sellers do? Here's a good example because this kind of covers probably most of the different ways to source products on Amazon. And this is something that Honey and I covered in the recent podcast episode that when I guest hosted for Jim, interviewed Honey, and it was like episode 298, I think maybe. And it's called Where Do I Start? And we went over this, but we'll go over it again. So if you're just starting out, or if you're even doing this for a while and you need a refresher or just some other ideas, then listen in here. So one of the easiest places to start when you're just starting with Amazon, just starting online, is finding items around your home. I would much rather say go find some stuff that's free rather than saying, oh, let's remove 20 grand from your IRA and go to Walmart and spend it all. Let's start slow. And one of the easiest, now you don't have to start here for sure. You can start at any of these levels. And even like private label, for example, Jenny Hunt and I have a course inside the Proven Amazon course called Proven Private Label 2.0. And so we even teach how to do private label with very, very little risk. However, most people start somewhere down here at the bottom and find stuff around your home. And we're going to go in here in a little bit. We're going to show you how Honey does retail arbitrage. The same thing that we're going to talk about, you can use to find items around your home as far as using the app and to scan stuff. But find free stuff, find things and get the Amazon seller app, scan it, look, check the barcode. Is it selling well? Check Keepa. We'll show you what Keepa is and how to make decisions based on that. But start small. No reason to go out spend thousands of dollars on inventory when you probably got stuff sitting around your house that somebody else would want. Or send it into eBay or sell it on eBay or sell it on Facebook Marketplace or sell it on Craigslist. Get some money and then be able to reinvest it into something else. Honey, anything else about that level?
No, absolutely. I think that one of the biggest things I hear from people is, I don't have a lot to start up. I don't have a lot to do this. That is one of the best ways you could do it. Like you said, if it's not, really nice, brand new condition stuff, books you can do used, and there's a handful of things that you could do, but most of Amazon is going to be brand new items. So if it's not brand new, like you said, sell it on eBay, flip it on Marketplace. There's a ton of other things you can do. Start with what you have. You don't have to have a huge investment when you're starting for this. Start wherever you're at and work your way up to what you need for your business, what your goals are. Just work your way up to those goals. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. So another way to get free inventory, quotes, doesn't really cost you anything. You don't have to outlay any cash to get it. It's consignment. So let's say that I lived close to Honey and I knew that she had a garage full of what she might call junk. And her husband is saying, honey, you got to get that stuff out of the garage. I'm sick of it being here. I got to park my Ferrari in there. And so I come to Honey and say, you know what? I know that, you got all this stuff there. You're not doing anything with it. You're too busy with your 6 kids and homeschooling them to even mess with this. I know how to sell stuff online. Can I come over and I'll take anything that I feel like is worth selling on Amazon, eBay, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. I'll grab it. I will sell it and we'll split the profits. For somebody like Honey, who's super busy, doesn't have time, maybe she doesn't have any idea how to sell online, that's a perfect way for her. It's a perfect win-win. She gets rid of the inventory. Her husband's happy. I'm happy because I get free inventory and we split the profits 50-50. That's an awesome way. If you have friends, family, people that you go to church with, anybody that has inventory sitting around, people that have just finished a garage sale and they still have stuff sitting there, them, maybe if you know them and they trust you to take it and sell it for you and split the profits with them, consignment is a great model to find inventory and start building up some cash to invest in some of these other methods. Anything else there?
Nope. That's good.
And guys, again, this is not like you have to start selling items from around your home. You can start anywhere on this list. A lot of folks go right to retail arbitrage and online arbitrage. But if you're hurting for cash, this is literally a business that you can start with $0 and zero experience. And one of the easiest ways, if you have no money, literally no money to get started with, then consignment and selling items from around your house is where you would start.
Yep.
Okay. So next, another low barrier to entry type of way to find inventory is thrift stores and garage sales. Kind of it's just not quite, you don't have to spend a lot of money. So it's still very, very, very low risk, very low investment. But go to one of these stores, pull out your phone and start looking at barcodes, type in brand names. We'll talk how you search here in a little bit. But it's just another way to find cheap inventory.
Yep.
Dollar trees, dollar stores. Honey, I know you have experience with that.
Yes. We started out, now it would have been the next level, the retail arbitrage, but we started out doing a lot of stuff from the Dollar Tree. There was a place that had a lot of party items. So like, just think of the really inexpensive, couple dollar things, party invitations or plates or whatever. So we did a lot of those things as well, because we started out with very little. So this is, again, not something that you have to just plan on jumping in. If you are brand new to all this, do not feel like you have to drop a mass amount of money on product. Information and knowing how to do this was way more beneficial to us than starting out and having, spending $10,000, $5,000, whatever on product. If you don't have that, don't feel like you need to have that. Now, if you have that, then we can show you how to use that wisely as well. Like Ryan's talking about, don't go buy 1,000 of this toy and hope that it sells. But really the information is the valuable part in knowing what to do with these things, and not just, you don't have to start out with a ton to start a business doing this.
Totally. Okay. So you brought up the retail arbitrage. Let's go into that. What is that?
Finding things in a retail store and finding the things that are profitable and reselling them on Amazon or elsewhere. Yeah, it's just taking it in a retail store, finding it and finding out
It's
where
literally
else
any
it's
brick
selling.
and mortar store. It could be Walmart, it could be Target. We talk a lot about regional stores. Here's a key for you is in order to avoid some of the competition that might be out there, what are some stores that are local to you or local to your county, local to your state, local to your region that they don't have elsewhere? For example, I used to be from Indiana. Actually, Honey and I are friends going back to junior high. She still, I'm from Indiana originally, and she still lives there. I moved to Texas 11 years ago, but there are stores in Indiana that we don't have here. Like Meijer, for example, Meijer. They're out of a company out of Michigan. We don't have Meijer stores here in Texas. So Honey has an advantage over me in that she can go to a Meijer store and probably find products that I wouldn't be able to source. It just makes it so she has less people to compete with, essentially. So what are grocery stores? We have HEBs here in Texas. They don't have those in Indiana. So that would be an advantage for me, although I don't really know that there's anything in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that they have one. But I'm saying, what are regional stores that are in your state, in your region, that you don't have elsewhere? Those are perfect stores as well. Some of our top sellers kind of focus on some of those stores so they don't have all the national competition.
And items that are specific to your region.
Yes.
I know there is
absolutely.
My husband and I for a while actually lived in the Pacific Northwest in the Seattle area, and there's a type of chili. I'm not going to share all this because you guys, if you're from there, you can know that you'd know this anyway. But I don't, all of you don't need to go sell the same thing. But if you live out there, there's a type of chili that is out there, like canned chili, that a lot of people from there really love. And moving out here, we actually met someone else that was from there, and they were like, I can't find this brand of chili anywhere, and I just want to get this canned chili. And I looked the other day just because I was curious, and it's totally selling on Amazon for some crazy price. But people are buying it because they're like, I can't get it anywhere else. I really want that brand of chili. So if you can only buy it up in the Seattle area or the Pacific Northwest, then everybody else in the rest of the country that's like, man, that was like childhood memories, and I love that canned chili, then they're paying for it because they want the convenience. They don't have to get on an airplane and fly out there to go get it. They can just hop on Amazon and find it. So yeah, regional products as well as regional stores.
Honey's giving out some major tips right here that we weren't even planning on. But yeah, I mean, what is regional to you? What is if you lived in a certain area and you don't live there anymore, what have you missed? Like, just one example, not that I necessarily miss it, but we don't have in Indiana, there's a chip company or potato chip company called Mike Sells that we don't have in Texas, but there's also brands here that they don't have there. So if you're, think about just regional products too, not just necessarily regional stores, but these are all perfect examples of things that you can sell online. Online arbitrage is the same thing. Rather than going into a store, you're doing it from your computer. You're doing it from your laptop anywhere in the world. That's the beauty of this business, guys, is you can do this from anywhere. Lisa Morrison Larson was just on her Lisa Live, and she has an amazing podcast episode. I think it might be number 99, 90, somewhere around there, of Jim's podcast. And just listen to her story about how she, for the most part, does this at home. She has some health issues that she deals with. And one Q4, she was almost completely bedridden and had an awesome Q4 because she was able to do online arbitrage. So there are no excuses. If you want to do this, you want to make this work, you can do it. And we're going to show you how to do online arbitrage as well. It doesn't have to be in the store. You can do it from pretty much any .com site. That's what you're doing primarily right now, right?
That is what I'm doing now. I love retail arbitrage, but I have had to pivot in the current season. And being a mom that is used to shopping in store with 6 kids, it's a little extra challenging right now. Sure. So I've pivoted and I'm doing online arbitrage now, and finding replens that way, and having a less stress, season leading up to Q4. So yeah.
Absolutely. And then we're not going to talk much about wholesale, exclusive, and private label, but those are just other options that you can find inventory. We have people that that's their whole model, but most of them started somewhere down here and then built their way up to that. Again, you can go, if you really just want to go right to private label, you could, but most folks, the easiest, lowest hanging fruit, the less risky. Again, we teach the things we teach up here, even are not very risky, but we're talking about, you can do a private label for under $500 very easily, get something like that started. But most folks start somewhere down here, and that's primarily where we're going to be focusing. All right, so you probably heard the term replens. Replens are essentially items that sell consistently, that you can find consistently. And this is the strategy that people like Honey are doing throughout the whole year. So the things we teach in this community, it's not about scoring big in Q4 and having a drought the rest of the year, guys. Replens is a strategy that most folks, most seasoned sellers are doing that gives them a stable, long-term, sustainable, predictable, I'd say more relaxed type of business where you're not hunting all over the place for clearance deals. And in these models, or in these methods here, is where you can find products that sell consistently and that you can source consistently. As for example, you sell an item from around your home, you're probably not going to be able to find that necessarily again, or you don't have stacks and stacks of the same item in your home. Consignment, I go to Honey's house and she may have, 500 different things that are just one-offs. I'm not going to be able to go back to her garage again and find those same things. Same thing with thrift stores and garage sales. You're buying one of those items, you're selling it, and you're trying to find more. When you get into retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, that's where you have an opportunity to go to a Walmart, for example. and find something that's on a regular retail shelf, not clearance, and that still is profitable. The beauty of that is that you can, if it sells consistently, and then you can go right back to that same retail shelf and find it over and over and over and over and over again. That's what we mean by replens, something that sells consistently and that you can source consistently. Honey, anything else on that? Because that's your main strategy.
That is. I have 6 kids, and I am I'm a homeschool mom, so I like to keep things simple. For me, this is simple. It does take some effort to get there and to gain the list of those replens, but once you do, it is not like every single time I'm sourcing, I'm thinking, what in the world am I going to buy this time? What am I going to ship in? I don't even know. It's not the added stress of that. It's just having that consistent thing that I know it's reliable. I know that I can go back to this source and I can go find more of those and ship more of them in when I sell out of them. So yeah, it makes it a lot more relaxed in my home for sure.
Got tons of questions, trying to see if I can type some. Okay. All right. Replens, items that sell consistent. And again, you guys, it doesn't have to be something like we think of toilet paper, paper towels, something that you would buy consistently all the time that are consumables. And it could be that, but literally it's just anything that consistently sells. We joke about the hammer example. It could be a hammer. So I list a hammer I go to Walmart, I find a hammer that's profitable. I list it on Amazon. Honey goes and buys it. And then Jimmy buys it. And then Kate buys one. And then Jim Cochran comes on and buys that same hammer. That could potentially be a replen. It's something that sells over and over again. Doesn't have to sell 500 times a day or even 500 times a month. It's just something I can count on selling over and over, and that I can also source consistently, that I can go back to that same store or go to a wholesale company and order it and keep it in stock. Okay. So it can be any type of product. All right. So I'm sure there's some people that have been to a store, or maybe you've heard Jimmy Smith talk about, how when he first started doing replens, he would stand in an aisle and literally spend hours in one aisle doing research. If you do that and you come up empty-handed, you might feel like this guy here, where just want to sit and cry. You're like, what in the world? I can't do this business. I'm a loser.
No, you're not.
No, you feel, you're definitely not feel that way. You feel frustrated.
Yeah.
Guys, we've all been there. Even Jimmy will go into a store and strike out. It happens. Okay. And so this is where we're going to go in to show you some examples of things that you actually could be looking for, and how Honey makes decisions on these, so that when you walk into a store like this, Honey, we had Michael and Rachel Kesey on our What's Your Story webinar in Legends recently. Mm-hmm. And Michael said something that was awesome. He said, I feel confident that I can pretty much go into any store and find some replens, find some products that are profitable. Yep. It's because he's been doing it over and over again, guys. You just have, as you do something, you start to get good at it, and it takes practice. They didn't do that the first time. The very first time, you're going to feel like this guy potentially. And so you walk into a store, you see an aisle like this, it's just like, oh my gosh, where do I even begin? So let's help you figure out where to begin. So let's, Honey gave us some examples, and we're going to imagine that you're a new seller. Some of you might not have to imagine, because you are. And we're bringing Honey along with us into this massive aisle. And you're like, where do I begin? And so here's some examples of some things, and Honey, I'll let you, you start here.
Okay. So I have to say, when you go into a store, people are constantly asking me, like, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to go. I'm going to be honest with you and just start somewhere, pick an area and just go there. You might have a more natural tendency to go to the grocery area. Or for me, I started doing like a lot of home and kitchen, because I knew like what the pricing was for those things. I was more comfortable in that area. I was teaching a friend a while back how to do this kind of stuff, and they had a ton of kids in sports. And so they knew the pricing of all of that, the baseballs and the mitts and the whatever other gear you need for that. So they were really comfortable in that area. And that was just the area that she would go and look there and source, because she had an idea of, wow, this is really, she had an idea of what normal pricing was for those types of things. So she would go into a retail store and she would look and say, okay, that that looks way different than, you know, what my app is looking like. So I'm going to walk through some of this, but I just would say all that to say, just start somewhere, just pick an area and start there. I would stress out if I stayed in an aisle for hours and hours and hours. So I don't do that. I'll pick like a time frame. And if I'm not finding anything, then I move on to a different aisle, maybe to a different store. So don't feel like you have to do that. If you are just determined and you're like, I've got to find something before I leave, then more power to you. You can do that too. But I don't like I feel like after a while I just shut down and I can't find anything. So for me, I pick like a time frame, whether that's, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, an hour. And then I say, okay, I'm done. I move on. So say right here, this would be Mainstays is a brand that is just a Walmart brand. Now, if you are a brand new seller, I know you're going to be looking at probably, the Hasbro toys and the Nerf and the Lego and all these things and saying, I'm restricted in everything. Let me just tell you, you are not restricted in everything. There's a lot of stuff that you can still sell. Home and kitchen's a great category. Garden's a great category. There's a lot of pet things that you can still sell. So there's a variety of things. And when I started out, I just found whatever I was able to sell. So we did sell some Mainstays items that's just Walmart brand. So I go over to the Walmart, the kitchen area, and I'm standing there, Ryan, and all I see is a whole wall of towels. What do I do? Yeah. So I just type in, you can see right under where it says add a product, I go to the seller app, which is the free app, and just type in Mainstays kitchen towel. And you can type in different things. I could type in Mainstays towel, Mainstays kitchen. I could try different things based on what I'm looking at. But for me, I just start somewhere. And I start scrolling through the app and looking for things, something that stands out to me. Maybe it's something that I see in the aisle. Maybe it's something like right here, as I'm scrolling through it, I see this, we're looking at the picture on the left. The sales rank is 325,000 around there. And I see a couple little kitchen towels that have a buy box price of over $21. Now I'm looking at that thinking, these towels don't cost that much. Like a little kitchen towel is not going to cost me over $10 a piece. And the rank at first glance looks like a good enough rank. It's not way up in the millions. It's a really big category. So to be honest, I don't look too much at rank, but if you're a brand new seller and you're more comfortable kind of just getting an idea, you're not looking for something up in the millions. So I'm thinking, okay, that doesn't look too bad. So I click on the listing. Let's check that one. And what comes up is all the information for the Mainstay Flamingo Kitchen Towels 2-piece. Okay, so I look in store and I see that these towels are probably around $2 a piece. And I'm looking at all this thinking, if my gross proceeds for selling it at that price are going to give me $15 and all I'm going to pay is about $4 or $5 maybe for this, then I'm thinking that's super profitable. But I don't stop here, because to me, the most valuable tool is not in the sales rank or any of the other information here. It's in taking this information and taking it to Keepa. So do you have,
yep.
Yep. Because I want to know, as much as this says it's selling for this price and I could have this much profit and here's the rank, I want to know, does it actually sell for this price? Has it ever sold for this price? When was the last time it sold? I want to know more about it before I start buying a whole bunch of these.
Is it on, you see in Keepa? I wouldn't go to them.
I'm
sorry, I'm answering a ton of questions. Next, Keepa slide. Okay.
Sorry, next slide. Yep.
No, it's good.
If they got Keepa questions, they're going to have more after they see all the Keepa charts.
Yep. Okay, so we have two. Did you do the second Keepa slide, or want me to do the? Are you ready for the next product, or?
Nope, just the. I'm just seeing the towels now, so I just need the first Keepa slide for the towels.
Oh, weird. It's showing it correct on.
Here we go. Okay, nope, other one. Go back. Yep, that's good.
That one?
Okay, so you can take the ASIN from your listing. I didn't show how to do that, but you can take the ASIN from there. You can see that from the seller app, and then type it into Keepa. You can do that through, it depends on whatever, there's other apps you can do. You can just do Keepa.com. You can use Keepa through Messenger. Keepa is a paid service, but with the exchange rate, I think it cost me about $17 a month. And I'm telling you right now, I have saved way more than $17 a month in bad purchases because I had better information, that I was able to research and study these things better and say, is this really a good thing that I really want to get? So the first thing I'm noticing from this is that it shows me the last 3 months. Now, if you're looking at the top, and I don't want to go too deep into this because there's a wealth of information we can share on this, but if you want to look at this, the green up and down lines are the sales. So when you see it going down like that, that means that it is sold. And then the other lines, the blue and you can kind of see the pink lines, those are the sales price and the buy box right in there. Yep. So you can tell, it looks like just at the end of, or mid-July, all of a sudden the pricing went way up, but you can also see that there's not been like really any sales. I mean, a couple sales in the last maybe month. So that doesn't make me feel very confident in this, but at the same time, I think, let me just look a little bit farther because it has still sold. It looks like it was actually selling a little more often at that $16, around the $16 price. So go ahead and go to the next slide. So what I do is I go down to the bottom part of the Keepa chart where instead of saying 3 months, I go back a year, because you guys, the last few months, a lot of crazy stuff has happened on Keepa. So I do this a lot more often now. If you are not sure, you're like, I don't know if that's looking really consistent, go back, look at farther back and see how it's been selling. Now this one right here, you can look and see that it does appear that it, before the last month when the pricing was around the $15, it was selling a little bit better. It was also selling a little more consistently around the $10 range. So what you can do then is go back and type that into your app, or if you're doing it online, you can do the math online and see, if I bought this item for X price, whatever it is it still going to be profitable for me around that buy box price that is closer to the between $10 and $15 instead of the almost $25. Now I will also throw this in. There's a lot of different things you're going to think about when all of these things run through my head as I'm looking through charts. There also is currently no FBA sellers right now. So most of the time you're going to have people that are going to prefer to have an FBA seller, not always, but there are some people that's strictly all that they buy is the FBA, because they're paying for Prime and they want their stuff. They want to get the most out of their Prime membership. So you have that, and you also have the fact that if you're looking at this and looking further back, maybe it was more readily available in Walmart before and it's less now. So there's that thought process too. So something like this, as long as it was still profitable for me at a little bit lower price, I would absolutely test some and send it in. What I wouldn't do is buy 50 of them and think I'm going to be the only FBA seller from now till forever. I would try a few, send them in, see how well it sells, see how fast it sells, and based on my own information. Keepa can give you a very good description of things, but it doesn't give the entire picture. Each one of these drops, maybe some person bought 4 sets of these, so it doesn't give you the entire picture. You can get you can make a much better educated decision when you're looking at graphs like this. So I recommend for a lot of things, especially now, going back longer than the 3 months, so you can get a better idea of what it actually is selling for, when it sold better. So maybe when you send it in, you don't try to sell it at that $25 range. Maybe you try to sell it a little bit less. So.
Okay, while we're on that, let's take a couple questions about Keepa, just because it might be specific to this graph. Trevor, why is there only one seller?
Okay, was that back on the 3 month one probably?
It might be, yeah.
So, yep, that's a good question. It's a very good question. That's also why I go back longer than the 3 months. So for a while, it only had one seller. My guess with this is that it is, Walmart has a lot of seasonal kitchen items, seasonal towels, things like that. So it's probably a lot harder to find in store. Maybe this may be a clearance item. I don't know. But this is something that is most likely harder to find. But when people find it, if you look at the graph, when they find it, when they send it in, it is selling. So as long as you look back at the history and it's not just one person or one seller consistently all the way through, then I'm not so worried about having only one seller on it. Especially right now, stuff is harder to find. And certain items are harder to find right now.
Okay, Jamie, on Keepa, what is actually the sale price? Is it the top of the line before the drop, or is it the price at the bottom of the drop?
Well, this one is really hard to tell. We have some other Keepa graphs that you can see.
Okay.
Maybe it's just it might just be my screen. You're looking at the buy box price, which is the
pink.
Yes. So you're looking at that. Now, so for all of that right there, I mean, all of that is consistently right around that $16. And it's there's a sale after sale after sale after sale in there. So, yeah. You can also test. If you're the only FBA seller, you can test a little bit higher even than what the Keepa history shows. If it's a hard item to come by, then there's nothing wrong with trying a little bit higher and then working your price down if you need to.
Do you use the statistic field?
I personally, I really don't very often because I just look at this stuff. I mean, I do glance at it. I do look at it sometimes, but for me, it may just be how my mind works that I see the picture better and the picture makes sense. And I kind of interpret it a little differently through that. I can see, yes, it has a consistent sales. Yes, it has a consistent pricing, or it doesn't. So I don't use that a lot. I do glance at it occasionally on some items.
All right, next product, we're going to the healthcare section and looking for some men's facial scrub.
Yes. So, same kind of thing. You're standing in an aisle looking at like the million things on there. Just pick something. Just type in a brand. Now for this, I could have typed in Dove and that would have been fine, but there's like a whole aisle of that stuff at the store. So I want to narrow it down at least a little bit. You can narrow it down more. Maybe you type in Dove Men Deep Clean or Dove Men Face Scrub or whatever. You may come up with different options. This is just what I chose to type in. Scrolling through. I really don't pay a ton of attention once again to the rank, but if it's not way up in the millions or something, then sometimes that could just mean they're out of stock. But if it's not that, then I'm thinking, you know what, let me just look a little bit more into this. Let me see if this is something that might be a good seller. So I'm looking at that. It says $23.99 and it's a pack of 2. And I'm not super familiar with men's face wash pricing, but that seems a little excessive for Dove product for me in general. So I'm thinking, okay, let's try this. Let's look more. So I click on that item. And when you're in stores, you're going to be doing a lot of this, especially when you start out. And you can do the same thing online, even if you're using, there's times I've used the app at home too. If it's easier access for you, if it's easier for you to process things that way, then absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that. But, just check things, try, look around, make sure you're doing the research and don't just guess and think, well, surely nobody would pay that, or I would never pay that price, because you really don't ever know. And that's what the benefit of Keepa is that you have that, information of this, people actually are paying this price, or no way in the history of this, it's never sold for that price. So you have better information. So I click on the listing. This is a pack of 2 of them. I'm looking at it. It's got 13 reviews. So it looks like it has had a decent sales history. Once again, we found another item. Guys, right now there's a ton of these. We found another item that has no FBA sellers. So there's definite potential there. I did look up the price of these items and they run around $5 or $6 a piece. I mean, depends on where you find it. Some stores are out of them and they're hard to find. So online or in store. So this could potentially be a good pricing thing. If I have these and I get them for $6 a piece, that's about $12. I'm going to make about $7 profit. That's pretty good if it sells for that $28.98 pricing. So that's when you go to Keepa.
Yep, because you're verifying it. It's just like, guys, it's a step of it's a verification series of steps. It's not like, oh, you know what, these are on sale, let's buy 500 of these and hope that they sell. It's you're looking at data and you're making decisions based on the data. So over here on the left, these things are what's jumping out at her. These sales ranks are jumping out at her to take a closer look. You go one, so that's step 1. Over here, then it's like, ooh, it does look like it's profitable because I can get these for $6 each. There's 2 of them on the listing. So 6 times 2 is 12, 1973 minus 12 is 773 profit. That's good. I'll take that. All right, let's verify. Let's check Keepa. So that's why you're going one step further and checking to see, is this data, is this sales rank here just today? Or is Keepa going to tell me that over the history of a long period of time, this is a good deal?
Guys, without Keepa, I would have looked at that and been like, there's no FBA sellers. I can make a ton of profit. I'm for sure buying it. No questions. And I would have piled it up in my cart and thought this is great. So this is why we do Keepa, and this is why we talk about Keepa all the time, because this may or may not, this graph looks pretty crazy. I'm sure you guys, if you are familiar with this at all, you're thinking, what in the world? I don't know if I want to buy this thing or not. So right now, it looks like that you are getting some sales. Right now, the sales look pretty good. The seller, it looks like only one seller is even keeping that in stock. It's off and on. Now, there's a good chance this is possibly a variation listing with that pack of 2 being the way it is. But regardless, just like I said on the other one, especially in this season, you need to look back further than 3 months, because before July 1st, it's like super tiny on my screen. Hopefully you guys can see this. Before July 1st.
Let me see if I can zoom in here for you.
It may just be me too. But before July 1st, there was nobody in stock. So I mean, at least at the bottom, the seller count at the bottom, it looks like there's nobody there. So you want to make sure and see, okay, is this like a brand new listing? I mean, it looks at the bottom and it says 983 days it's been listed. So I need to have some more history. I want to see what this really sells for. And is this still going to be profitable for me? So let's look back a year.
Okay. Real quick, Lynn's asking, do you check the data tab on Keepa? Up here, this is the data tab.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. Okay, so here's the thing. There's a ton more information on Keepa that I could talk extensively about. What I'm talking about is if I'm in store and I'm looking at this, I do want to have enough information to go off of, and I want to have enough information that I can feel more confident in my purchase. But I also don't want to spend like 3 hours to find 5 things either. So I feel like myself, I have like a happy medium that works for me. So you may want to do a little more research for you till you feel confident in spending that money on that. I am feeling like I just want to grab the big chunks of information that I feel fairly confident in, and then I'm going to test it myself. So you may want to go deeper. You may want to have extra checks and balances that work for you of like, man, if it's not looking like this, then I really don't want to get it. But I'm just saying this is like the bare minimum. This is what I want to do. You can absolutely look a whole lot deeper and dig way further into Keepa and a lot of this stuff. But I keep it pretty simple, because if I'm in store, once again, like I said, I shop in store with 6 kids. If I'm in store, I'm looking and I'm glancing. I want to be confident that I'm going to sell the items, but I also don't want to spend an excessive amount of time in there. For me, that's my choice. That's just my personal. You may find something that works a little better for you. Okay, so yep. So we go back to a year. Now this gives you a different picture. You can see still that anytime it's coming into stock, it's selling. So you see a lot of people, it's running in and out of stock. Down at the bottom, you can see the seller count. That little box at the bottom shows you the sellers. So it is coming in and out of stock, but I'm looking back there and the buy box, those little pink, is it triangles still? Is it diamonds now? They just changed some stuff in my eyes. They're doing tricks on me right now. But yeah, so you look at the buy box price, and that's a lot closer to the $15, somewhere around $10, $15, maybe a little more. It's closer to $15. Now, if I'm paying $6 a piece for those things, now some things pricing has changed. So you keep an eye on those things right now. Some of the pricing has changed for things, but if I still had to pay $6 a piece right now, and I'm looking back at that history, thinking that's $15 there, and I'm going to end up paying $12 for this item, I'm going to be paying way more than $3 to Amazon for that. So you have 2 options here. If you are a bold, brave seller, because there is no one on the listing right now, because recently it has sold for a little bit bigger pricing, you could test a couple of these. I would not go deep on this item. Personally, I probably wouldn't even sell any on this item, but because there's no FBA sellers, and right now some of the body products, health and beauty and whatever things are a little harder to find, Sending in a few would not be the end of the world. And if you send in a few and all of a sudden more people were able to get them and they started selling for a little less, then you wouldn't be out a ton because you didn't send in 200 of these things. So that's, in my mind, that's a personal business decision. If you are really bold and brave and you have no problem testing a few, then you could test a few because it has shown that it has sold at a higher price. But as far as the history goes, if the lowest price you can find it is to buy the set of them for $12, then I would steer clear from that personally.
Okay. Let's see if there's any
more Keepa.
I think I got the questions there. Okay. Next product, we're going to get some Jello sugar-free pudding.
Yum. Okay, so I have to say, if you are a person that is selling in grocery or thinking about selling in grocery, honestly, right now, everything sells in grocery, but I do have to say, in my experience, some of the more, I guess this isn't super specialty, but some of the more specialty foods are, in my experience, you're going to have even better success with them. So like, the sugar-free, the gluten-free, maybe some different ethnic foods or special brands that you might be able to find at different grocery stores than just your regular stores. So kind of out from the main items, the most popular thing. Not that you can't sell those, because I do sell some of those too, but those are good areas to look. If you're standing in that aisle thinking, I have no idea where to start, sometimes looking for those, in my experience, you can find some more stuff. So I'm looking through this. I see a bunch of Jello sugar-free stuff, and I see this item. It's got like a 40,000 rank in grocery, which seems good. And I wanted to share this because I do some different things. And so this is just to get you thinking differently as you're looking in the seller app. So it says $1.89 for this, which most people would be like, there's no way if I'm selling something for $1.89 that would be profitable. But here's what I do with this. I see there's 13 people that are selling this item. So what do they know that I don't know? Because this item is selling, it has a good rank, and it says there's 13 sellers on it. So I'm going to click on it because I'm curious and I want to know if there's something they know that I don't. What happens is right now, especially when you're looking at the seller app, that $1.89 is most likely, that's going to be a merchant fulfilled seller. Then you add the shipping cost, which is going to make it cost more. So they're showing you that price, that $1.89. That's not the FBA price in this situation. So I wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have clicked on that. So it's a good rank. It has a lot of sellers, and I just thought, let's see if they know something I don't know. So click on that. Now, some of you are going to think this is crazy, and there's no way you're going to sell this, but these things sell for less than $1 in the store. And so if you are doing the prep work yourself and you're just slapping a label on there, if this is a really tiny little thing, and it's going to make you over $1 profit, it's quick selling. Well, we can look at the Keepa history to make sure of this, but this may be something that you want to try, that you might be able to find in store. And you wouldn't have known if you wouldn't have checked, because it said, oh, this is only selling for $1.89. So really, this is just as an example of sometimes thinking outside the box. When you're scrolling through, you may find listings that other people would avoid because they would say there's no way I can make any profit if it's only selling for $1.89.
Oh, and one thing to tell you guys too real quick is, Honey typed in Jello sugar-free. She could have typed in sugar-free Jello. These are just keywords, and you're searching the way a buyer is searching. And you probably could do sugar-free Jello and come up with the same types of listings, same exact ones even. So it's not like she has like a super secret way to do searches. It's just like how she's in a store. How would I search for this item, this Jello, if I was a buyer? And that's how she came to that. Or
Jello cheesecake or Jello pudding or whatever. There's all kinds of different things you can type in there. Same thing as a seller. What would I think? Okay, so I'm looking at this, and in the last 3 months, the buy box is way up there around that, or those FBA pricing. The FBA prices are way up there around that $6 range, which is where we're at pretty much now. I would proceed with a little caution, because if you look down at the bottom, the seller count is starting to go up. Now, sometimes that can be an indication that the price is going to start going down. So that would be something. Looking at this graph, I would have no problem sending them in assuming I was fine with the $1, just over $1 profit. But I would also not send in a bunch of them because the sellers, there are more sellers coming on. There are more people trying to sell this item. So it's definitely not something I would want to go deep on. And once again, I stretch it out to a year though to see, because the last few months have been different. And this is what you see. So all of that orange on there, that is Amazon. Now, I have zero problem selling against Amazon because the vast majority of everything I've ever sold on that had Amazon on it, if I was priced right at their pricing, maybe a penny over or right around there, then they have shared the buy box with me. You can actually look at the bottom graph and you can see the sellers going up and down even when Amazon was on the listing. So it appears from this little tiny picture I'm looking at, from this, that they have shared the buy box in the past. But I'm also looking at, there's a lot of time back in there that they were selling it for $2 or less themselves. And I definitely couldn't make a profit on it at that point. So this is probably something I would avoid unless you just wanted to send in a few and hope that Amazon doesn't come back on it. You could also look back, and I didn't do it for this one, I probably should have. You can also extend past the year to the all, it's like over 2,000 days it's been on there, but you can look a little farther back past the year and say, okay, are they always running out in, May, June, July, August, or are they consistently having it all the time? And just because of the current season with everybody shopping online, they ran out. So that's something that you can find a little bit more information about by looking at Keepa and looking further back and seeing this. Now, if I could make a profit at like some of the lower Amazon prices here, then absolutely I'd have no problem doing that, or at least break even. If I could break even at that price. But
quick question, Christy wants to know, do you ever take the statistics tab into consideration down here?
I really don't. I'm not saying you can't. I know a lot of people look at that and that can give you a different picture and a better idea. I try to keep it simple and look at the sales rank and the pricing and the buy box are the main things that I look at, and a seller count. You can do more of that. Absolutely. I just try to keep it, for me.
Yeah, you could
It's
spend
just
hours
simple.
looking at this,
Yes.
like, ooh, should I buy 2 of
Yes.
these and test them out? Or you're like, this looks pretty good, let's buy 2. Guys, if you were saying you should call Jello and order a container of these things, like
I'd want to go deeper on my
them,
research.
and you might want to do a lot of research,
Yes,
a ton of research.
yes.
But most of the folks that do replens, if Honey finds a brand new replen and she's in a store and sees this and she's never sold this before, she's going to make some, and you can do either way. You just telling you what Honey does. She's still going to buy 2 or 3 to test it out. And then like, okay, those sold, great. Now let's buy 5 more once those sold. And then maybe 10 at that point. You could just pour over the data forever and just never make a decision, and you're going to get frustrated. So at some point you just got to pull the trigger and test a few.
Yep. All right, this is the last one of these. I know you guys got all kinds of other questions too. This is the last one of these. So once again, there are store brands, there are areas of the store that even if you have a lot of restrictions that you can still source in. So Better Homes and Gardens is a Walmart brand. This would be in the lawn and garden area. There's a lot of stuff in there right now, especially. There's all kinds of stuff there that you can look at. So I was just thinking there's a section that has all kinds of lighting and outdoor decor and all that kind of stuff. You could type in anything, but if I'm standing in an aisle and I'm seeing a whole bunch of lights and outdoor stuff, I'm just going to start typing in, if I was a buyer, what would I be looking for? I'm looking for this outdoor lighting. But I'm typing in the brand because at the same time, I don't want to look at every bit of outdoor lighting that is possible on Amazon. That's a lot. So you want to narrow it down a little bit. You could put in different words, try a few different things, but you do want to narrow it down a little bit. So this, once again, I'm showing you something a little crazy here, but this is just stuff that goes through my mind when I'm scanning and looking through if I'm using the seller app. So, and this right here, the Better Homes and Gardens, I'm seeing the one-piece quick fit LED spotlight. It's selling for $24.93, which seems like a whole lot for a light for me, just for like a normal store brand little light. And there's no rank under there, you guys. I'm showing you this as an example because sometimes we get stuck in the, what is the rank? What is it selling for? And I'm telling you, I would still see this and click on it and look. because I'm going back to look how many sellers are on there. There are 6 people selling this item. Do they know something I don't know? And maybe they don't. So, but I want to find out, and I want to do the research myself for this item. I'm not I'm not throwing them all in the cart because there's 6 other people that are listening on this. I want to see, is there something that I'm not seeing from this app, because there are 6 other people somehow that think this is a good item to sell. So I click on it to find out more information. And when I click on it, even though it still shows that there is no rank, it has 25 reviews. I don't remember the percentage right now, but what is it? Something like one or 2 out of 100 get a review or something. It's very little. So if it has a lot of reviews, then it's probably sold a lot over the history of the item. So I'm thinking, okay, this definitely has sold. It just doesn't happen to have the rank. Sometimes Amazon resets that stuff. There's all kinds of things that happen. So it's showing me this has sold. It's showing me it's got 3 FBA sellers on it. Let's put it in Keepa and see if this is going to be something that's going to be a good seller. It's going to be profitable. I did look, and you can buy these things for it's right around $11, I think. So if you look at that, they'd be close to $5 profit for this item. Spend 11, get 5 back. That's pretty decent ROI, depending on what your business model is. So then we look at Keepa. It feels like there's all kinds of missing information. There's a lot of months lately that have had a lot of missing information where you're not seeing the sales rank, that green line, go up and down on the top. And you're thinking, once again, this is why Amazon doesn't have that rank. You're thinking, okay, it doesn't look like it's selling. There's no rank. There's no Keepa really moving around for months. But you look at the seller count on the bottom and you see that the sellers are going up and down, and there's movement, which would indicate that possibly people are selling out of what they have. So I'm going to expand it out to a year to get a better picture. And right there, you can see, look at all those sales. It is clearly selling. That up and down sales line shows that over all those months back there, before Keepa had some issues and it wasn't picking up all the information in March, you can see that it was selling back there. You can also see that the price it was selling for was less, but looking through all the big picture history, and I could go into so much of this. I don't want to go into too much detail here, but you can look at the sellers there. There was a whole lot more sellers. You're also thinking it was September and November. Are there a lot of people buying outdoor lighting then? Probably not. So they could have been clearance ones that were selling out. So to find a better picture, you may go back further in a longer chart to get a better idea. Is this something that I would test and sell? Possibly. Looking back at the history, it doesn't look like it would be profitable further back. But if you wanted to test small, because it's clearly an item that is still selling, then that's something you could do. I'm not going to make the business decisions for you, but what I can do is help you understand what these graphs mean. So if you do send it in, you are taking a higher risk, because back there, the history of it shows that it is not always consistently sold for that 29 whatever dollars, but right now it is. So if you want to do that, I would recommend testing small, or go to the next item and look for a different similar item, or bundle it, or anything else. There's so much information. There's so much that you could do with it. Not trying to overwhelm you, just throwing out a lot of ideas and all the stuff that goes through my head as I'm sourcing in a store.
Right. Cool. All right. So guys, we've had a lot of people that say, our first Q4, we had no idea what we were doing. We were just, we're just totally brand new, and we feel like we didn't take advantage of it. And honestly, that does not have to be you at all. Honey, and I feel like there's still plenty of time for you to take advantage of, even if you're starting right now, there's still plenty of time for you to jump in, learn the ropes, have a foundation of replans, or at least have some shipments under your belt, so you know what you're doing. So when Q4 does come around, you at least, you aren't learning some of the basic stuff. And that's what we want to help you with, is essentially a quick start series. So is this for you? And we're going to talk about what the quick start series is here in a second, and then we'll take questions. So if you've just opened your Amazon selling account, it's for you. You haven't even done one shipment yet, totally can help you out with this. You've only been selling for a few days, weeks, or months. Reason I say that is we have somebody just posted in the chat here in Zoom or Q&A saying that they're not a brand new person, but they haven't done this in a while, and they feel like they're a brand new person. So maybe that's you. You feel like you can benefit from a crash course to get you prepared for Q4, or you feel like you just need a refresher in the foundations of an Amazon business. So if you're in any of these categories, then listen up, because we feel like we can really help you moving forward in Q4 and get prepared for it. So we're kicking off a 6-week live workshop. It's like a course, but it's going to be live webinars. We start August the 11th, and here's what we want to cover: how to have the right mindset. I know you're like, what mindset, but that's so important. If you feel like you can't do this, then you're not going to be able to. We want to instill some confidence in you, because remember what Michael Kesey in our Legends group said. He feels like he's confident. He can go into any store he's never been into and find some replens and walk away with some replens. And honey, while I'm talking, if you want to go into the Q&A in Zoom, feel free to, if there's anything there that you can knock off as far as questions, save us some time at the end. Because we have some questions from Facebook too. So he was saying he has the confidence to walk in any store and know that he's going to walk out with, most likely, have some replens in hand. And remember that picture of the guy sitting in the aisle, just, having his head in his hands. He was frustrated. We want you to have confidence to go into an aisle or go online and be able to find profitable products. We're going to teach you how to set a goal for Q4. Like, what is even possible? Like, can I make $1 million in the next 3 months in Q4? Well, probably not. Can I make $500 extra a month? Yeah, absolutely. So what's even possible? Based on some of Honey's numbers, you can easily 2 and 3 times a normal month during the rest of the year during Q4. So just thinking about that, how to set a goal, what would be, a good goal to set that's not so crazy far out there, but also it's just enough that makes you want to work toward it. How to let Amazon fulfill your orders. That's using the FBA program. Where to find profitable inventory. We'll talk about some of the stores you can source at, the different methods of sourcing. We kind of talked about that a little bit tonight, with the inventory pyramid, but we'll go much deeper into RA and OA. The tools needed. Hint, you don't need expensive software, guys. I think some of the questions we're getting in the chat are, what tools do I need? There's so many awesome, amazing tools out there in the Amazon world. You need one thing. You need the Amazon. You need 2 things. You need an app to scan, like the Amazon Seller app, totally free if you have an Amazon Seller account, and you need Keepa. And Keepa is like $17 a month. I would say those are the 2 things you absolutely must have to do this well and to make good buying decisions. So it's not going to be saying, hey, you need to go out and buy hundreds of dollars worth of tools and then hope that you recoup that investment. How to make confident. Again, that word confident is so, so key. Every time we talk to newer sellers, it's about instilling that confidence in them that they can do this, and how to make profitable buying decisions right on the spot, right when you're in the store or right when you're on your laptop looking at something. How to read a Keepa graph. This right here, if I could circle, underline, star, bold, this would be right here, the biggest benefit of probably one of the biggest benefits of our class, because if you can read a Keepa graph confidently, know what it all means, you are going to be set up very well for success. And so we're going to go deep into how to read a Keepa graph and make it simple. So it's not so, there's so many other data points you can look at, so many other tabs you can look at, but let's keep it simple. What does Honey look at? That's where we're going to go, kind of just really to do, and make it simple so that you are confident that that when you walk into a store, you're going to be able to pull up a graph and read it and make a decision right there on the spot as to whether you're going to buy that. And even if you do buy it, you're still only buying a couple to test. You aren't going to buy 100 of them. You're going to buy a couple and try it out. How to get past product restrictions. If you have a brand new account, this is definitely something that you might face. And so what are some ways to get around that? What are some products that you can sell if you've never sold anything on Amazon before? There's plenty of products that you can sell on Amazon, even if you have a brand new account. Replens, this is going to be the key. I'm telling you guys, if the folks in our Legends group and the whole MST community, most of the ones who are quitting their jobs that are meeting their Amazon goals are doing it because they have a stable, long-term foundation. It's mostly replens, items that sell over and over again, so that when, Honey walks into a store, she's essentially shopping from a list. These are the items that I sold that I need to restock. It's not you know, ooh, I hope I find clearance today. Otherwise I can't eat tomorrow. Can't feed my kids tomorrow. It's like, I have these 10 items that I need to restock. And the guys, for those of you that are business minded and you're thinking long-term on this, this is something that you could have anybody walk into a store for you. You can hire this process out. Like Jimmy, for example, we're getting ready to launch an outsourcing course here in Jim's community that we did in Legends. Jimmy has people that are trained at, I mean, essentially you could have, you know, literally, but you could have a 10-year-old go into a store and do this because it's just like, buy 5 of these, buy 3 of these. You're able to outsource this type of stuff. And so then you're able to focus on, you know, things that are bringing you more money, looking for more deals. How to have a no stress Q4. This is a big one because it's not about the hustle of looking clear after clearance. If that's fun for you, that's great. Do it, because there's nothing like it in Q4. It is kind of fun to find and chase some deals, but at some point you're like, gosh, I need to have something that's consistent that I can count on, and much, much more. So, 2 bonuses. So we're going to, anybody who signs up for this pre-Q4 Amazon Quick Start series gets free access to our upcoming Proven Q4 Success groups. This is something that we do every single year, and they're highly sought after. People love these groups. It's just a private group where we're sharing deals and with tons and tons and tons of training. If you get into the pre-Q4 Quick Start series, you get the Q4 groups for free. And also we're going to have a private Fast Start Facebook group so you can access our experts in between classes to ask questions, because we know you're going to have questions about Keepa. Hey, is this a good one? You're going to be able to ask the folks that are in there those things. If you're interested in this, go to provenq4plan.com. Let me stop here. I'll actually grab that link here real quick, guys, and let you go there and check it out. Let's see. Should have had that queued up beforehand. Here we go.
You guys have some great questions, by the way. This is like
good.
so many questions.
Glad. We'll try to knock out as much as we can here. All right. So if you're interested, you want to sign up here, do this. If you are a PAC member or you are a coaching student, then you will want to log in to the learning.silentsalesmachine.com portal, the portal where you get all the courses. Go to available courses and click on the proven Q. Let me show you what it looks like here. Let me share my other screen. You guys will have, if you're a PAC member or a coaching student, you guys get a discount. You'll see it in the available courses, but it's called pre-Q4. Let me show you what the icon looks like so you know what to be looking for. Oh, honey's pumping out answers to questions here.
Yes. Love this. It's awesome.
Yeah, totally. I should have totally had this all set up. What questions you guys have? We'll stick around and answer some of these for you. Just got to find. Oh, here we go. Here's what the icon looks like. Okay, new share. Sorry, guys. Here's what the icon looks like. It's a computer keyboard. Looks like pre-Q4 2020 Quick Start. So go to your available courses. You'll be able to grab it from there, and you'll have a special link if you are a coaching student or a PAC student or a moderator. So, all right, cool. I posted links in there. Love to have it. We start August the 11th. And we're going to go for 6 weeks. We're going to have a class, like an introduction class on August the 11th, a class on Thursday, August the 13th, just 2 days later, that kind of gets into more of the meat, and then 6 weeks beyond that. And then we'll start the Q4 groups, the normal Q4 groups that most of you are used to. We'll start those probably the very, very end of September or early October. But you'll get access to that if you join the Quick Start. Okay. All right. honey, questions.
Yes,
How do you
Ryan,
want
is
to do
this, will
this?
this work for, I'm just reading through a few that I haven't got
Go
to,
for
so
it.
maybe you can help, we can answer some of these live too.
Yeah.
Will this workshop work for Canadians or international sellers? It's actually a
Yes, yes,
few
yes.
people asking that question.
Yep. Okay.
Yes, there may be some things that are a little different, but like me, I'm doing all online arbitrage right now. That's the same kind of thing that you can do. You know, you don't have to do the stuff in store.
Totally. Yeah. The things we're going to teach in this quick start, guys, are strategies that work anywhere in the world. You just might apply them differently. They might look different. You're going to have different stores. If we talk about, Meijer's store in Indiana, well, if you live in the UK where Neil Stevens is, he probably doesn't have Meijer's. He's got Tesco's and other stores that we don't have here. So same exact strategies. You just would, implement them in different stores. Richard asked, what about taxes per state? How do you make sure you don't? Oh, well, the beautiful thing is Amazon primarily now, honey, right? Takes
For
care of
most
taxes
states.
for
Yeah,
most
I'm
states.
actually typing out an answer for him. But yes, it does. No, that's fine. So they do handle taxes for most states. Obviously, just like any other business, keep your receipts, keep track of your stuff, keep good business records. But as far as the paying taxes for stuff or sales tax on things, Amazon does collect and remit for most states. So you may want to check for your individual state to be sure of that. But yeah.
Okay. Melissa, is there a difference between restricted and non-gated? What does gated mean? So gated just means you can't sell, and that could be a category restriction. Like some sellers are restricted from certain categories, maybe from hazmat items. It also could be an ASIN restriction. Like I can sell every other item from this brand except just this one listing for some reason is gated.
Stephen asked, when is the cutoff for sending your Q4 products, or is there a cutoff? We don't have that date yet. Normally, what Amazon does will tell you as it gets closer, make sure your items are in to be available for Black Friday or for actual Christmas time by a certain date. As it gets closer, they'll say that. Now, we still continue to say, keep sending stuff in, because just because they say it won't get there, it's more of a encouragement to get your stuff in plenty of time, to make sure they have time to open up your products, to make them available, to get them to the buyers. So it's kind of a cutoff, but it's more just a guarantee of, we can make sure that your stuff is open and ready for customers if you send it in by this date. So
Sherry in Facebook asked, does anyone cover Amazon merch? We do have there's a merch course in the pack, an Improving Amazon course, Sherry.
Yep.
I know that I'm actually talking with Christy Hertzler about some merch stuff for Legends. Trevor asked in Facebook earlier, does eBay ramp up too? It does. Anything sells. A lot of stuff sells all over the place, all different platforms during Q4. Matt, how much of this course will be focused on Q4 specifically versus just selling on Amazon in general? I'm asking because I feel pretty good on OARA Keepa. I'm not an expert, but doing well for my third full month. However, I've never done a Q4 before. Honey, what would you say about that?
A lot of it is going to be the basics, but there is going to be with the underlying Q4, like of making sure that you're getting stuff in by certain dates, making sure that you know the sales volume. I don't know how much, like if there's like a percentage. I mean, it's going to be a lot of the basics, but it is going to be with the Q4 in mind. And that is what this 6-week, what do we call it? What's the quick start?
That's what Q4 quick start.
Here we go. That's what this is going to be for. Now, if you are confident, you know all those things, this may not be the best fit for you. Maybe it's the actual Q4 groups.
Right.
But this is going to be for those of you that are like, I really need a little bit more confidence in getting stuff out there, in knowing how in the world to source things, how to read Keepa, how to know what I'm doing, and be prepared for when it does get busier and when the sales are ramping up, that I'm going to be ready for it in plenty of time. And I'm not going to be sitting there thinking, what in the world do I do? I need to get shipments out like by 2 weeks from now, and I don't even know how to source. So this is going to give you that head start if you are a newer seller or you need a refresher.
Okay, let's see. Let's try to. Benny's question about Amazon getting started. I missed the Q form. Okay, I'll start just read this off, honey, if you have any thoughts on this. I'm going to miss this Q4 Madness. I haven't had success in verifying my Amazon seller account after 3 attempts. Yeah, it is getting harder. Just you keep doing it, open a case if you have to. Is the rumor true that approving new sellers in Q4 gets harder as Amazon doesn't want other sellers' stuff in their warehouses? I haven't heard that.
They added more warehouses. They love our stuff because third-party sellers do comprise a large portion of what Amazon does. So they do, but there's a lot of stuff that they do that's automated. And so, yeah, there are some people right now that are having a little bit more challenge with getting their seller account approved. Make sure that everything, first, middle, last name, street, if you have addresses that they match up, if one says street, then the other one needs to say street as well. And just keep opening cases and yeah, you're not too late. Keep trying.
Okay. So Shannon and Liz have questions about the actual checkout. So guys, sorry for any confusion on getting this, getting signed up tonight. They're actually support will send out emails. So if you're a pack member, you're going to email with a coupon code, but you should still be able to sign up tonight. If you go to the learning.silentsalesmachine.com platform, go to available courses and click on that. If you're logged in under your account and you're a pack member, you should see the option for the discounted price. If not, then email support. It's support@silentsalesmachine.com. Yeah, guys, I'm so sorry for the confusion on that.
Okay, I actually had a question earlier from Teresa, and I already have the answer. I had it written down. Don't forget to tell Teresa this. And you're so awesome to remind me the question again. But she's a previous seller, haven't sold for a few years. Got an email from Amazon, and all of you should have gotten this, that says that you need to raise your IPI score, your inventory performance index, to 500, or you'd be restricted in the amount of items you can send in basically for Q4 for the end of the year. So how do you know how many items you can send in if you aren't at that 500? There are things that you can do to improve your score between now and then, making sure you don't have stranded items, just taking care of stuff in your account. There's a whole list of things I could tell you. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but to find out how much you can send in, if you go into Seller Central, go into your inventory and then go to manage FBA shipments. And then at the bottom of that, you're going to see your storage limits. If you click on that, it'll actually show you what your storage limits are going to be for the time period coming up, whether it's unlimited, or it tells you how much space. It's not really a number of items. It's how much space that you're going to have to store things. So you can look and see, here's the space that my business is taking up now, and here's what they're going to provide. Everybody that I've talked to has said, even if you don't reach that, yes, the goal is to get your IPI up to 500 or more, but even if you don't reach that, they are going to have a lot bigger storage space than previous Q4s even. So don't be disheartened if you can't get it up to that. Do what you can to try to raise that score, looking through your Seller Central account. But yeah, it'll show you that in there. If you have any other questions about that, Teresa, just message me.
Jody asked about IP complaints. How would somebody stay away from getting an IP complaint?
So many answers I could give here. So honestly, I do actually look at Keepa history for things to help with that. If you see all of a sudden like a complete just drop off, you had a ton of sellers and then all of a sudden there's no one and there's only one seller after that, that's a potential sign that there was an IP complaint. There's a history of that. Making sure that you are sourcing from legitimate places. You know, if you're going to do FBA stuff, as much as you can, find things around your house or do consignment from someone else's garage. FBA would not necessarily be the place to resell those. So, you know, making sure that you have places that have legitimate receipts. Amazon does accept receipts from Walmart and other places. So making sure that you know where your stuff is coming from, you know, rechecking the listings. Some of the stuff you do the best that you can. And yeah, Ryan, I don't know if you have anything else to say. There's so much. I could go into a whole huge thing on that. I don't know.
That's good. Yes, we're going to double cover fulfilled by merchant. Yeah, we can. I think that's part of what we're going to be covering in this. Melissa, would you ever do some products by FBA and then others merchant fulfilled?
Yes, tons of people do that. I don't do a lot. Oh, I don't do any merchant fulfilled myself. There are some prep centers that will do, all of my product actually at this point goes through a prep center, but there are some prep centers that will do merchant fulfilled for you. That's another thing. If you start out early now and you are considering, man, I need to switch stuff out to a prep center. I know I'm not gonna be able to handle the volume myself with my work schedule or whatever your schedule looks like. Starting something earlier now, figuring out how those things work now is going to be a great benefit to you when it comes to actually Q4 time, that you will have figured out how the systems work, how things work with a prep center system, if that's what you choose to do, how to merchant fulfill. They actually just sent out information today, should be in your Seller Central account if you didn't receive an email, about the requirements if you want to sell toys merchant fulfilled during Q4, because they do have specific requirements if you want to sell toys and games during Q4. Merchant fulfilled. If you're selling FBA, you don't need to worry about it.
Generally, how many items or total weight should we send to Amazon warehouse to save on shipping?
I know, Jimmy gives really good numbers for this. Does he say about 100 items? Is that what he says?
That's what I think I remember what he says, but you don't have to wait till you have that many.
You don't have to wait for that.
Be able to fill up a box at least.
Yes. If you are only going to send in 5-10 items, then your per pound cost, your cost to ship items into Amazon is going to take a lot more of your profits. So keep that in mind. Like I said, we started out with a lot of dollar items, a lot of little party goods. We could put in hundreds of items that only cost us like $1 or 50 cents or whatever in a box easily. But if you send in smaller amounts, you're going to pay a lot more in shipping costs than if you send in, 40, 50, 60 or more items. It's not a requirement, but keep that in mind when you're looking at your profit margins, that there's going to be that added cost there too.
All right, honey, we have some questions in Facebook that we'll go back and look at that, because
Yes.
we've been on here an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I don't want to hold up anybody, but I love answering questions, love helping. Guys, if you're interested in joining this, go to provenq4plan.com/quick start 2020. If you're not seeing your discount when you're logged into the system, if you're a PAC member or you're a coaching student, you're not seeing that, email support@silentsalesmachine.com. They will be sending out coupon codes to make it easier for some of you guys, but I know some of you want to get in right away. Should be able to find it under available courses. And if you're logged in and you're one of those people, you'll see that discount there. So, but we'll go back and try to answer all the questions in Facebook. Mods, if you want to help us out too, that'd be great. And feel free to let us know if you have any other questions or questions about the quick start, and we'll see you in there. Anything else, honey?
No, I'm excited about this. You guys, it's going to be an awesome Q4. So if you're a brand new seller, you don't have to be intimidated. We want to be able to help you succeed this Q4. And that's what we're doing this for. Hopefully you found some good tips already from our webinar tonight. So,
yep. Thanks everybody. We'll see you in the group.
Bye.
All right. Bye.